What's up, everyone? It's Ben from the Vinyl Jukebox, and this video is going to be a tribute to New York Dolls frontman David Johansen, one of my favorites, who sadly passed away this past Friday in New York City. He was 75 years old. But before we get started, please be sure to leave a like and a comment below this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. So starting off with some background on David Johansen, I mean, he and the New York Dolls led the charge for the protopunk movement of the early 70s and were a heavy influence on the punk and glam metal scenes that were to come in the late 70s, 80s, and even the 90s. And what was unique about the New York Dolls was they brought a glam look to raw street rock and roll. David Bowie definitely had that glam rock look and sound, but his was much more commercial. New York Dolls definitely brought that to the streets. The Dolls were known for their look and performance, not so much their technicality as musicians, but they still were able to write catchy songs, catchy riffs that definitely stand the test of time. In the 70s, the Dolls released 2 studio albums. They're self-titled, which was produced by Todd Rundgren. This is just a fantastic album. I have to say the production is not my favorite on this album, but the songs are definitely there. They're classic songs here. Personality Crisis, which would be the inspiration for Poison's Talk Dirty to Me, pretty much the same riff. Looking for a Kiss, Vietnamese Baby, Lonely Planet Boy, Frankenstein, Jet Boy's on here as well, Trash, Bad Girl, Subway Train. I mean, it's just a classic album. I wish the production was there, and I do have to say, though, that the cover definitely misrepresents the band. I think they're a little too glammed out on the front cover. Definitely not what the band would look like, and maybe turn people off to the album when they saw it. In their second album, this definitely is more representative of what the band looked like. This is In Too Much Too Soon, which I think the production is a lot better on this one. This one's produced by Shadow Morton, and it has, again, more classic songs: Babylon, Stranded in the Jungle, Who Are the Mystery Girls, It's Too Late. I mean, just classic after classic. Definitely my favorite of the 2 albums. What else do we have on here? Puss in Boots, Chatterbox, the Johnny Thunder song, Bad Detective, Don't Start Me Talking, Human Being, which Guns N' Roses would cover on their covers album, The Spaghetti Incident. But these are just classic albums, and I love them so much. Now, released in 1984, but actually recorded in 1975, we also have Red Patent Leather. This is a live album from the New York Dolls. And this is just awesome. This really shows the power and the greatness of this band live. It includes some covers on this album as well, some songs that were not featured on the studio albums. And what's interesting about this live album is the artwork on it shows the look that the band was kind of going for at that point, the all red look. And if you read Sylvain's memoir, he released it shortly before he passed away, one of the guitar players and founding members of the New York Dolls. They got a lot of heat for this look, actually. Very similar to a communist kind of look. And you see we have that communist symbol right there. So the band definitely got a lot of heat at the time for that look. And, you know, in the 70s when they were doing this, not too sure about the 80s when they actually released this live album, but I'm sure that it definitely raised a few eyebrows as well. So the Dolls broke up in 1976, and David Johansen released his first solo album in 1978. This is a self-titled. I mean, this is just a classic album as well. It's got the classic David Johansen song Funky But Chic on it. And this one's just an awesome album and definitely recommended. I actually picked this up in a dollar bin a long time ago. Definitely worth a lot more than $1 to me, but definitely has that fun New York Dolls sound to it. Maybe not the crazy guitar work on it. He definitely got rid of that glam look, but this is just an awesome New York punk attitude album. Definitely worth a listen for sure. And I don't have all of David Johansen's solo material. Actually, this is really one of the only ones I have, so I'm not going to go through his whole catalog, but I'll show you guys what I have. Shortly afterwards, I believe this is, 1982, David Johansen released this live album, Live It Up. This one's a really fun album, really fun listen. And in the late 80s, he actually took on the moniker of Busterpoindexter. I believe the story was that people used to call him Buster on the street, so that's where he got the name from. But he releases this album right here, and he actually had a hit with this album, a big hit, Hot Hot Hot, which was a cover. I know that he performed this on Saturday Night Live a number of times, but this was released in 1987, self-titled Busterpoindexter, and it's got kind of a mix of songs on it. Got some loungy type songs, got Hot Hot Hot, which is obviously a big dance kind of hit to it. Just some other key highlights from David Johansen's career. The Dolls would actually reunite in 2004 with a different lineup, obviously, after the death of Johnny Thunders, and Arthur Kane, the bass player, actually was a part of the reunion at first, but he actually passed away during that process, so he wasn't very much involved with the reunion. But they released 3 new studio albums, and they're great. Definitely check them out if you have a chance. I don't have any right now, but I definitely want to pick up some copies. Probably have to go to eBay because they're a little out of print, I think. In 2023, a documentary was released, Personality Crisis, One Night Only, which was kind of like a VH1 Storytellers style documentary, where it was the story of David Johansen's career with some live footage of him performing in New York City. So a really cool documentary, definitely worth checking out. And also, one of the last things that I know that he was a part of in terms of recording, he's actually featured on Joe Perry's solo album, Switzerland Manifesto. He's on 2 tracks here, I Wanna Roll and Haberdasher Blues, and he's sounding great, just classic David Johansen on this album. Definitely worth checking out those songs if you have a chance. And just on the personal side of things, regrettably, I never got to see David Johansen live, whether it was with the reunited New York Dolls or just solo. I never saw him live, so I'm definitely upset about that. But he and the New York Dolls had a huge influence on me as a guitar player and a performer. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I was in a few different bands, and as you guys could see over here, he and the New York Dolls were a huge influence on me. The attitude, the fact that, you know, I was never trained as a guitar player. I learned on my own. I was self-taught. So, you know, the fact that the New York Dolls could be so raw and still write great songs and still look amazing while playing, that was a huge influence on me as a performer, songwriter, and guitar player as well. And hearing the story about the Dolls and the New York punk scene in the early and late 70s, from my dad and my aunt who grew up in New York City at that time, that really led me to go on a bit of a search for a lot of these landmarks and that scene that was long gone. When I was a kid, I went to New York City a few times, to the Village, and kind of went around looking for these spots. I mean, I found a bunch of shops that were selling punk stuff, but, you know, that scene was kind of long gone, and, you know, it was sad for me because it just sounded so great from all the stories that I'd heard about the Dolls and Johnny Thunders and the Ramones and just all this great stuff that happened in New York City in the 70s. And at that point was just pretty much a shadow living over the Village. But David Johansen, that was a huge loss for me. I mean, I know he'd been battling brain cancer for the past few years now, but he's gonna live forever through his music, through the people who were influenced by him, and I'm so grateful to know of David Johansen, to have heard his music, to have learned his music, and I'm definitely gonna be rocking some David Johansen for the next few days for sure. All right, everybody, there you have it. That's my tribute to David Johansen. And let me know in the comments below, what are your favorite David Johansen moments? What are your favorite David Johansen songs, New York Dolls or otherwise? Definitely let me know in the comments below. I'd love to talk about it. And please, if you haven't done so already, please be sure to leave a like and a comment below this video. Subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, share the video, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.